Alright, so here he is. Merge Zamasu is finally getting his EZA. A lot of people have been waiting for this to happen since the Global Dokkan campaign began, and here it is officially confirmed. We got the kit details. A lot of people have already been making vids on this character, so today we'll go ahead and go over what his EZA can do now. We'll go ahead and talk about what sort of hidden potential build you probably want to use on this character with the EZA in mind. We'll talk about when his EZA will officially drop because it will be happening very soon, and we'll also talk about some other things to look forward to in the game because of a recent data download. So it's gonna be a fun time. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the vid. If you do, show your support down below. I know it's been a while since the last one, but with that all being said, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Now, thankfully with the data download, the EZA details are also on Dokkan info, so I'll go ahead and go over it here because I just feel like it's a lot easier to go over it in this specific focus. So starting off with Zamasu, with the EZA, he is now a key +4 HP attack and defense 170% leader for Worldwide Chaos and Potara categories. Now, let me just kind of make sure to kind of emphasize this just in case people are wondering. This is not at all a big selling point of Zamasu's value. Now, it is nice that he's covering Worldwide Chaos and Potara. You know, if we look at the categories, there are some strong characters like Tech Super Vegito, Rose Masu right here, you know, Goku and Vegeta. However, you are almost certainly going to prefer to use any of these three characters with their leader skills as opposed to Zamasu when it comes to the Potara section specifically, right? Like, it's very unlikely that you will try to specifically lean towards Potara when you have better characters with better leaders who can like have a bunch of different characters in their kind of options as well. So I feel like that's kind of obvious right there. When we look at Worldwide Chaos, that may seem a bit more enticing, and to be fair, it is kind of nice to have that, like another kind of semi-competent lead, but realistically, again, you have Rose Masu, you got like the clones and everything. You probably have other characters who you would want, like you would want to run their leads instead of Zamasu right here. And of course, you know, we look at STR Cell. STR Cell is a much better leader for the category in terms of the stats. Now, it is kind of finicky because you don't technically want to run two cells. So maybe you could like take one cell lead and one Zamasu lead or something. You could like figure it out. But realistically, again, like the lead is not a big selling point when it comes to Zamasu. I don't want anyone to kind of misconstrue that. I feel like some people may be excited to see these categories, and hopefully, I will say right now, hopefully Potara becomes a more like specifically relevant category in my like personal preference, same with Worldwide Chaos. But yeah, the lead is not the best at any stretch of the imagination with the stats and everything. It's not it. Now let's keep going though. So like it's a decent lead and everything. The super attack effect. So with the 12 key right here, Key Blast Super, greatly raise attack and massively raise defense for one turn, also lowering attack with that 12 key. So very nice right there, able to do like boost the defense and everything. That is very helpful for an LR with a bunch of stats. Of course, you know, we have to understand with an EZA, the stats do not increase from beforehand. So the stats will be the same, but if you have a bunch of dupes on this character, which a lot of people probably do, then he's going to be able to probably have some really decent defensive numbers because of the 12 key boosting right here. And of course, you know, if you're getting additional supers, that's going to boost the defense right here specifically. So just a bunch of great stuff. Now the 18 key, also a Key Blast Super right there, when you know, with like the wrath, like the Holy Wrath, or like I think it's like Divine Wrath or whatever. So 18 key, massively raise attack and greatly raise defense for one turn, also greatly lowers attack. So important to know right here, the two super attack effects, as you probably can already tell, they're kind of like semi-mirror opposites of each other, where the 12 key is focused on boosting the defense, the 18 key is focused on boosting attack. And actually this is a very good thing in terms of the design, is that typically speaking, it's kind of obvious to say, right? But like defense is generally speaking far more important than attack, like almost always. So the fact that the 12 key is the one that's boosting the defense more so, that is really helpful. It's nice that it's boosting it on the 18 key with 50% everything, but having it on the 100% for the whole 12 key, that is just insanely helpful. Obviously the attack boost is nice and everything, but I'm a big fan of that specifically. And the attack lowering, it is great when you can apply it. It doesn't always work, but when you can do it, this can be very helpful, of course. So that's also pretty nice right there with a bunch of different opportunities right there. So, you know, all pretty good stuff. Obviously 55%, you know, in type character right there. So at 55% free to play, you know, build and everything, Zamasu is going to have, you know, 5 dodge. So no built-in additionals or anything based off the hidden potential build. You would need dupes for that, but you know, just important to note those things right there. We'll go and talk about the hidden potential build after we go over the kit and everything. With the EZA though, this is obviously the biggest and most important thing right here is the passive. So activates the intro when there's another Potara category ally on the entry. Obviously, we just saw a couple good Potara category characters, Tech Super Vegito, Rose, you know, Goku and Vegeta. Most likely you're going to want to run like at least one of them with Zamasu right here. So it's going to be probably very easy to get this intro condition to happen. When you do so, you receive an additional key +1 per key sphere obtained, and you change tech orbs into rainbow key spheres for 5 turns. So, you know, not the craziest intro in terms of value. So, you know, if you're a player and you're saying, hey, I really don't want to focus on this intro, I don't have a lot of good Potara characters, don't worry about it from this specific standpoint, because the intro getting the key is nice for an LR, you know, the orb changing is good, but it's not the end of the world, right? You know, you can still make do. Obviously, look at the basic effect. He's able to still receive an additional key +1 per key sphere obtained, and he's still randomly changing key spheres of a certain type other than int or tech orbs to int key spheres. So he still has orb changing in his kit, but this is obviously like, it's nice to have it. That doesn't mean it's like very important, and obviously it's still temporary anyways for 5 turns. So let me just kind of like, you know, like quell some of the fears, I guess, like if that's the right way to say it. So that's just important to know right there. With the other basic effects, so 200% to attack and defense, 30% to damage reduction. So built-in damage reduction, love to see that to start things off. With 12 or more key, he's boosting attack and defense by 50% and launching an additional guaranteed super. With 18 or more key, another boost to attack and defense by 50% on top of the 12 key right here. Attacks are effective against all types and launches an additional guaranteed super. Again, we'll go through the entire kit before we go over this again. With 24 key, the maximum key for an LR, 100% boost to attack and defense on top of these other boosts, right? And performs a guaranteed crit. For every attack received or evaded, he's boosting his damage reduction by 10% up to 30% within the turn, and he's boosting his key up by 1 up to 5 for the rest of the fight. This is only for the key. The damage reduction is within the turn, and it will reset every single turn that he shows up. So turn 1, turn 3, doesn't matter. This will reset every single time. Every time the character receives 3 or more attacks in battle, or dodges 3 or more attacks in battle, he'll recover 10% HP at the end of the turn, which is up to 1 time, and when he receives an unarmed super, which is basically a melee super attack, right? He will have a great chance, which is a 70% chance to nullify and counter, and he will guarantee nullify and counter with 10 or more key spheres, which is obviously something that he can do pretty decently with the orb changing opportunities and also like the intro and everything. He can do that pretty decently if you have the right circumstance. Now, again, this is only relevant if you're facing an opponent with a melee super. So if you're facing someone who does a key blast super or whatever, this is not going to matter whatsoever. And obviously it does suck that you'll miss out on the counter, but still, like, it's nice to have that like built-in 70% chance guaranteed. That's pretty nice right there. So do love that. The active skill, so you know, after doing 5 or more supers, massive raise attack temporarily, so for the turn, cause ultimate damage, and guaranteed stun the enemy for 1 turn, which again, nice when you can land it. Not necessarily going to happen all the time, but you know, still nice to have that, of course, when you look at the categories and everything. So the categories, not the most diverse character, only 11 categories, but still. Worldwide Chaos, Patara, you know, some cool characters there. Time Traveler is really nice right there. Fused Fighters, awesome. Super Bosses, obviously want to run him under the Rose lead and everything. Successors, which is really cool, of course, for AGL Gogeta players like me. You know, having him there is really nice, of course. You know, Realm of Gods, you know, Final Trump card. So, like, he's got some good stuff to offer. Let me just kind of, clarify the obvious right there. Obviously, with the linking, this is the important thing right here. He links okay with, like, he links actually really decently, I would say, with, like, any sort of, like, Fusion Zamasu or, like, Zamasu from like the new Rose Zamasu unit, but he doesn't link the best with Rose as much as I guess people would like. You know, for me, I would like if it was 6 links right here, but it is what it is. When we look at the links right here, you're getting Dismal Future, you're getting Nightmare, Big Bad Bosses, which is the most important link, and also like the Fierce Battle, Legendary Power stuff. So, you know, some really good stats. Having Big Bad Bosses, that is the most important thing right there. That's the best thing right there. Now, when it comes to what he's missing, you know, like you're missing, I believe he's missing Godly Power and Fused Fighter. So you're missing a bit of a defensive stat right there. You can see attack and defense by 5%, and Godly Power, you are missing a bit of an attack boost. So not the end of the world, but you know, it still does kind of suck in terms of the fact that he's missing out on that. So it is what it is for like all the situations. Now, going back to this, right? So again, we saw a bunch of stuff here, a bunch of wording. Basically, the thing about Zamasu, to explain how he works for those who are still kind of confused and looking at this whole block of text, basically, you want to take advantage of the fact that he's an orb changer. You want to take advantage of the fact that he wants to get as much key as possible, and he's building up his key as well for every tag he's receiving or evading. So the more key you get up to the maximum, you're boosting your stats, you're doing a bunch of additional supers, your attacks effective against all types, built-in crit and everything. Really effective stuff. And also, he does have some HP recovery, so that's nice, of course, the counter and everything. Really, this right here, like, let me just kind of highlight this. This is the most important thing right here, is the more key you get, the better he will be. Now, I feel like this is where we really got to understand what is he good at, where some people have already mentioned this on Twitter and everything for the Dokkan community. This character is basically meant to be a slot 2 or slot 3 character. Like, you can use him slot 1, but you really don't want to. We have to understand 30% damage reduction with no guard is not good for slot 1 at all. Like, we all know that. Now, 60%, you can make it work, but understand, to get to that 60% within the turn, which again, it resets, you either have to dodge or take hits. So with the hit potential build, I'll just kind of like give like a bit of a focus right now onto it. You want to probably go for additionals and also a lot of dodge, like mainly dodge, because, you know, receiving attacks, you can deal with that, but preferably you dodge, you're still getting the damage reduction, and then if you don't get lucky, you'll still have a bit of a boost to your damage reduction for when you do have to tank. So I think with the hidden potential build, it's safe to say prioritize dodge, then go for the additional. You can go ahead and throw a little sprinkle of crit in there, you know, like 3 crit or something, but really you don't need to because of this right here. This guaranteed crit right here with 24 ki is so helpful, because that means if you're focusing on giving him ki, if you're focusing on prioritizing him, he will just get built-in crit and you don't need to worry about adding it to the hidden potential build, which is such a nice advantage. I love it when they do stuff like that. So, you know, pretty straightforward in that sense. But yeah, prioritize the dodge and everything, then go for some additional, because obviously if you get an additional super, that's going to be helpful with the defensive boosting and everything, but dodge first and foremost. Also, it's really nice that, you know, with Zamasu, like right here, he's getting the main super, right? Like his 18 ki, let's say you get the 18 ki super, then on top of that, you're getting 1 additional right here, plus another. So that's 3 supers that he's doing, plus the hidden potential 4 supers, which obviously, you know, you need like 2 turns to get to this active, but still 3 to 4 supers in a turn means he could do a bunch of defensive boosting with the 2 like 12 keys right there at least, plus a bunch of attack boosting. He can do a lot of crazy work. Not the best character, I don't think, but still very powerful, very fun. I think he's going to be a joy to use. I'm excited to use him, but it's going to be interesting to see how his kind of abilities kind of change between his 55% and his like full rainbow kind of quality level, because obviously with this character, I feel like more than some other characters, it is important that you do have dupes in this character so that you can focus on the dodge a bit more, give him maybe some skill orbs to focus on dodge, and then allow him to have a better opportunity to survive and do what he needs to do. Again, don't put him slot 1, you can try it, but I don't think it's going to work at all. More preferably, you want to put him slot 2 or slot 3 and just kind of work from there. So pretty simple, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Now, we talked about the build, we talked about the character. When is this EZA going to drop? That's going to be the important thing right here. You kind of see right down here, but let me go to the schedule. He basically is going to be dropping in basically like 4 hours from now. So at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time later today, I'll probably upload this like in an hour from when this is showing. But he's going to be dropping very soon. So with his drop and everything, he will get a new EZA battle and everything. That's going to be very nice, of course, in terms of, you know, more Dragonstones, which I desperately need. I need Dragonstones. I've been so unlucky with the banners. But this is going to be really fun right there. And then beyond that, there's nothing crazy going on in terms of new characters, new content, as we can see right here. So it's pretty simple in that respect. Now, I actually should have rephrased, because there is some new content to look forward to, but no new characters. With the new content, so with the data download, shout out to Proton, of course, right here, we are getting some new stages, some new kind of content right here. So we're getting an update to Training in the Clouds, which is the Mr. Popo event from the 10th anniversary. This is going to be very helpful, because that was a massively beneficial event for link leveling and stuff. Again, if this is the same thing as before, everyone should be using this event. Go ahead and just link level as much as humanly possible. Use your stamina, everything. And then also we're getting some new stages for the perfect cooperation stuff that we had during like the countdown. We're getting a new event right here with Justice Order, the EZA for Zamasu, and a new support memory and support item. So pretty typical stuff right there. Obviously the new stages with Zamasu. Let's go ahead and talk about the EZA. His weakness is Future Saga. So Future Saga, very easy to beat. I mean, when we look at the category and everything, like Future Saga is just so abundant with power right now that it's really just a joke. Like, look at how strong this category is. The new characters, of course, the clones, obviously the EZA of the character himself and everything. So yeah, this should be a breeze. Obviously Vegeta right here and Rose, they have temporary buffs, so they can be great as well. The Super EZA here, this should be a breeze. There should be no trouble whatsoever for anyone when it comes to this whole kind of sequence right here. So yeah, should be a fantastic time overall. Now, besides that, obviously we have the support memory. So looking at the support memory right here, giving a boost to stats for time traveler category allies for the rest of the battle. That's actually really nice, because when it comes to time travelers as a category, that means any character who goes from the past, like the past to the future, or any sort of time traveler, it's not limited to like the Trunks like future and everything. It's like any sort of time traveling. So you know, you have Trunks, of course, you know, obviously with this arc and everything, you have Goku, Vegeta, you know, you have Rose and everything. So this is very powerful. Like, this is a very nice kind of boost right there, like for support memory. I'm a big fan of that. If we go like to the news and everything for the new content, because that also shows right there. Obviously, we have our new stages. So when we go to look at the team battle stuff, maybe I'll make a guide on this stuff. I'm not too sure quite yet. We do have 2 new stages. So level 3, which is Vegeta into Trunks, and then level 4, which is stage 4, basically, which is just Goku, Vegeta into Vegito. So different phases right there. Bunch of different missions. And also with this right here, we are able to get a wallpaper. So this wallpaper is basically the intro like screen for like the new Global Dokkan campaign. So that's just a, like, if you like the wallpaper, it's cool. I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, but you know, it's all right. Like, it's not a big problem. So anyways, we got that. And then also with the new challenge event right here. So we don't know how difficult this is going to be, but you have to beat this to get the support memory. So if you beat it, then you'll get the support memory. If you don't, you're not getting it. So it's very straightforward. Just beat it once and you got it. But yeah, I mean, you do need to beat this for the whole kind of support memory. Obviously, some special missions for some more Dragon Stones, you know, Future Saga, and also like special typing characters. So should be pretty straightforward. Well, the fact that these missions are kind of easy in terms of the character choices and limitations means this could be very difficult. Obviously, right here, we don't know the stats and everything, but we do know that the final phase of this whole kind of event, he's boosting his attack by 600% with each turn passing, starting from the second turn up to 3000%. So this could be pretty stupid. Like, it could be very, very strong. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very curious to see how this is going to work, but I think it'll be a fun challenge for sure. And overall, I mean, again, you know, with the data download, there wasn't too much going on. Obviously, the training in clouds, there is a bonus drop category for like a Battle of Fate, which, you know, Go Frieza leads that category and everything. So this should be pretty fun stuff. Honestly, it's not too much going on, but still, it's going to be a nice kind of inkling of fun to kind of look forward to. I feel like a lot of people have been kind of bored with the Global Dokkan campaign. They haven't been enjoying it. Me, myself, and I've been enjoying a lot of Dragon Ball Legends because we have Namek, which is going crazy right now. I've been having a lot of fun with that. But it's just been interesting. I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for something to happen with Global Dokkan campaign. Finally, we have something. So yeah, this is going to be fun to see how things progress going forward. I am excited to try out this new Zamasu, but yeah, it's going to be a fun time nonetheless. Anyways, that's going to be where we wrap up the vid. Obviously, we talked about the kit and everything. We talked about the hidden potential build. Again, just to reiterate, prioritize dodge and then additionals. We talked about when he's going to drop, which is again going to be in a few hours from now. So we talked about all the important stuff. If you guys enjoyed the vid, show your support. Again, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, show your support there. Comment down below your thoughts on what do you think about EZA, what do you think about the EZA for Zamasu, I should say. And then, you know, other than that, you know, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, stay blessed, and I will see you all in the next one.